A critical component when doing chemistry laboratories or chemical research is obtaining a background on the scientific topic, the scientific instrumentation, and methods that will be used in the lab. And one of the best ways to do this is through scientific database literature searching, and then being able to browse those results and quickly obtain some background information and diversity in different methods, techniques for doing laboratory science, as well as interpreting some of the results. And eventually that precludes having some of the literature background when comparing things that students do into the lab relative to what has been done prior. So looking at this, for example, in physical chemistry laboratory, when we're looking, for example, at some of the laboratory projects we're going to do, oftentimes a lot of the literature searching has been done for you and is provided in, for example, the handouts. But here's a good example of where I think it's critical that students be able to individually search some of this and look at their own background, not just what's provided, but search the literature themselves and look at several sources to obtain a more complete background and maybe see different methods or alternative methods, different background information to explain things, etc. So in project one, for example, I've asked not that I provide some of these relevant, but that students be able to search it and find some of it themselves. And hopefully in the process realize that you can find a lot of other alternative literature reviews and background on information that's relevant to any laboratory or research project that you're doing. So in doing this, one of the most common things is just to search something like Google or Bing or whatever directly. But this is where scientific databases really do help. And one that you have to have access to, but we do it through ASU, is SCOPUS. So if you go to the ASU library website, search for SCOPUS, you'll see that we have access to the database. And you can, within here, search either by topic, or you can search by article title, or several other things. By default, it looks through both the abstract and the title, etc. So if we are, for example, in this first one, looking at the speed of sound and heat capacity of gases, acoustic interferometry, etc., we can search some of that. So we can search for acoustic interferometry of gases, for example, and it will come up with 141 articles here that are related to that topic, and you can browse through them here, see what they are, and on any of these that you're interested in, you can view the publication, etc. So here we go. Determining the speed of sound and heat capacity ratio for gases by acoustic interferometry, which is one of the ones I reference and asked you to look up. So it's in the Journal of Chemical Education, so for an advanced chemistry lab, and we can click on view the publication here, download it as a PDF, get the supporting information, or look at it online here, and look at some of this information and be able to cite this as well. So if we go back to the search results, we could click on this and export it or download it. So we could export this in numerous formats that you can then use in your bibliography or citation in something like Word or LaTeX, etc., or a reference manager like Mendeley or Zotero. And this keeps you from having to type this information into a report or presentation. You can download these things and include them almost very easily into your reports or presentations. So you can search numerous topics of the different backgrounds you're interested in. For example, speed of sound of gases, data analysis, propagation of error, and find lots of associated literature and reviews on various topics. The other one is something like Google Scholar, where again you could type, speed of sound, gases, acoustic interferometry, and you'll see you would find that same publication here. You can see there's other ones, like if you want to know, here's using a cylindrical interferometer, and several others. Here's one where they have constant pressure and they do some ideal gases, etc. So you have a lot of different references here that you can look at and make sure you independently have some of the background material, citations, and you can look through some of these where they give a lot of detail. They give experimental details on how they did some of this, etc. Trying to do this yourself in the lab, as well as to have this post when you're doing some of the analysis. And look, they have a series of references as well as supplemental information in articles like this. So hopefully this gives a quick overview of how you can search the scientific literature, get the information, be able to add some of the citations and download them to be able to put in reports and presentations.